Is a video that goes over some previous coursework 3 submissions. The abridged literature review for the research methods module. We're going to look at a few submissions. The submissions here are reasonable quality, and I will go through them so you have an idea. And I will point out where they get points and where they lose points, like some of the good parts and some of the bad parts of the different submissions. So this one's called Mitigating Black Hole Attacks and Ad Hoc Networks. It's not actually a comprehensive survey. It's an abridged survey. So I would change this title to an abridged survey of current strategies and challenges. A comprehensive survey would include something like at least 50 papers, probably 100 papers, something like that. But the topic is good. It's a good topic. The introduction and motivation are clear. The motivation is clearly given here, which is nice. There is a nice metadata figure here that shows the year that the papers were published and then the number of papers in that year. And then they're also color-coded by category and evaluation method. One weakness of this figure is that the data is old. Like, the papers shouldn't really be this old. They should be more recent. I like the taxonomy. This is another metadata figure, although only one metadata figure is necessary for section 1. But this is a nice metadata figure. I like it. And so this will get some points. Research field challenges are itemized in a bulleted list. This is very good. The only thing missing here are references, like where do these challenges come from. There should be a reference, at least one reference for each challenge, but this submission has done a good job listing the research field challenges. There's a decent description of the survey scope. Like I said, this is a little bit old. I don't know why the student decided to choose older papers, but they really should be more recent, generally speaking. The student contacted their supervisor, which is nice, although this is a prospective supervisor. That's because at this time the allocation process was not officially complete. This is not this year. This is a previous year. But they've identified their supervisor, which is very good. They would score even more points if they described how they contacted their supervisor and when they contacted their supervisor. That would score more points. The supervisor gave them a survey paper to start with, which is really good. So starting with a survey paper is really a great starting point. And they have the connected papers diagram, which is good. I don't know if the URL still works. We can test it out. Let's see. The URL still works for this connected papers diagram. I'll bring it up. So yeah, there's a live connected papers URL. This will definitely score some more points because it's live and it's working. I can see that it's working. They have a reasonable, what appears to be a quite reasonable literature classification and the papers that go into each category. And then they have a nice summary table of their literature classification, so that's very good. They get points for that. They have a screenshot of their surveys webpage, and there is the URL. We'll be testing the URLs to see if they're working. And that is a pretty good pretty good service webpage, but there are some flaws. There's no color here, so there should be color, like the color legend that matches the categories with the figures. Also, the series is missing, so that's gonna lose some points. The absence of color and the incomplete series information will lose points. There's no color here either. You'll see a better example in the coursework specification, the screenshot. But anyways, this is pretty good overall. By the way, there are the colors here. So I don't know why the colors didn't transfer to the online version. Section 3, or the paper summaries, there should be a summary of how this section is organized. It should always start out. So the organization of the paper summaries is not very good. They will lose points for this because it should follow and match the classification. So there should be one subsection for each category in the classification. So this could be a subsection of papers, this would be a subsection of papers, and so on. And then at the beginning, there's a summary of how it's organized. So this one loses points for the paper summaries, but it's got a nice representative image, by the way. It will also lose points because it doesn't follow the Coursework 1 template or the summary guidance. So this would be better if it followed the guidance from Coursework 1. So here's an example of a Coursework 3 submission from a previous year. It's not perfect, it's got some flaws, but it's pretty decent overall. This one would, like, it wouldn't get a distinction score, but it's a pretty reasonable submission. There are the references. The references are complete with the DOI, which is very good. So that's quite, the references section is good. Okay, we can have a look at another one, a second submission. It would be good if the title was a little bit bigger. I wouldn't recommend using acronyms or without spelling out your acronyms in the title, but it looks like a reasonable topic. So we can find out what TSDF truncated sign distance fields. So it's a topic, it's a literature review on truncated sign distance fields. And this is also going to be important for things like computer vision and robotics and self-driving cars and so on. This is a nice metadata figure, figure 1. So it shows the number of publications on the y-axis and the year that they're published on the x-axis. And it uses a nice color, conference papers, journal papers, research articles. It's taken from their surveys webpage, which is fine. That's allowed. The research field challenges are in a kind of bulleted list, which is fine. I would expect maybe 3 or 4 research field challenges, and then some actual reference where which papers mention these research field challenges. So the scope looks quite reasonable. I think the topic is a narrow enough scope, and looks like they should mention the years. Okay, the last 10 years. So that's good. Yeah. Okay, so they mentioned their supervisor, which is very, very good, and they say how they communicated with them. It would be good to also say when they communicated. And it's really, really nice that the supervisor suggested a literature review to start with. That's really great. And another 2 papers. That's great. Would be great to cite those other papers that the supervisor recommended. You might want to just check your grammar with one of the software tools, many software tools that check grammar. That's a nice screenshot from the connected papers. It would be even better if I could click on the link and see the live connected papers browser. So this looks like a quite reasonable classification. There's the survey's web literature browser. It looks like the color didn't make it into the timeline, which I don't understand why, because this one has nice color, and this is from the survey's web tool. So I don't know why that didn't make it to the online version. But the online version for some reason is not appearing, and I don't know why. Anyways, will be anybody that doesn't have a live URL that's working, oh, there it is, will lose points. So this one took a few extra seconds to load, and I don't know why. I see that it's missing the color, and I don't know why it's missing the color. And again, it's missing the series information. So it's a reasonable implementation, but it's not going to get the full points because it's not 100% complete. So this is a reasonable categorization of papers. It would be nice to have some vertical lines in there as well, maybe some color. And then there are paper summaries. This should not be section 1, by the way. That's an error. Okay, so they've got some points off for their summaries. The summaries should be put into subsections, and the subsections should correspond with their classification. So they should have a subsection 2.1 called 3D reconstruction, and they could have another section. Well, another possibility would be a section 3.1 of input data, and then have 3 subsections with the different kinds of data. So that would be good. That would be a good division of subsections: the RGBD data, the depth data, the point clouds data, and then organize the paper summaries in that way. They start out with the survey, which is very good. That's always a good thing. But then we get lost here because the papers they're not really organized. So they lost points on this part. Also, the paper summaries are not following the Coursework 1 guidance. Remember, the Coursework 1 guidance also mentions pointing out the previous related work, like the core related work, and the input data, type of input data, so, and the type of evaluation. Okay. It looks like they do mention the type of evaluation, so at least they got that part. And then the references, we check the references for completeness and DOI. So it looks like they are complete and they have their DOIs. We will be looking at that to make sure that the references are complete. And clickable DOIs are preferred, the preferred format. So that's a pretty reasonable one, but it would not score full points. It's got some weaknesses. And we'll look at one more. This is on LLMs, everybody's favorite topic right now. So it's the integration of visual and language LLMs, which is a very hot topic right now. And it's pretty clear. The motivation for this is pretty clear, right? Because everybody's using LLMs right now. So there's a nice metadata figure showing the publications by year on the x-axis, and the number of publications in each year on the y-axis. And again, this is taken from the survey's webpage, the survey's browser, which is allowed. It's not very exciting, but you are allowed to do that. Let's see if they manage to get the color into the survey's web page. So the research field challenges really should be organized into a list. I would recommend a bulleted list for the challenges. And then for each challenge, you want a citation or a reference. So they'll lose some points on this for not having references for each research field challenge. It's good. The scope looks pretty reasonable. It looks reasonably narrow, which is quite good. It's better to have it a little bit too narrow than too broad. So I would say the survey scope of this one is quite good. The search methodology, so again, they contacted a supervisor, which is very good. It would be good to include a reference to their paper number 6. That would score more points. And it would be good if they mentioned where they searched for these keywords. I mean, Google Scholar should be certainly part of the search. The IEEE Explore Digital Library should be part of the search, and ACM Digital Library should all be part of the search. So that's a nice connected papers screenshot. It would be even better if they included the link to the connected papers. That would score even more points. Classification. So, okay. This looks like quite a reasonable classification. Yeah, that looks quite reasonable. And I hope that the next section is organized into subsections, like a subsection on foundational models, a subsection on vision language models, and so on. I hope that that's organized. There's their survey. Okay, so this one has color, which is nice. Let's see if the live link is working. Okay, that's no longer working. But we will be testing it. But if it was working, this is a very good screenshot. It's got all the colors. It's got images for each paper, so it's a very high quality screenshot. It's a pity that the online version is no longer live. So there should be a summary. So section 2 should start out with a summary of how it's organized. And it should really be called something like, abridged literature review on the topic. This is not really a very good title for section 2. Okay, so I don't see any citation. So this is a problem. So this person lost points because they didn't include a citation in their paper summary. That's definitely not good. It should also cite the core related work. Okay, they do have the input data, and then they do mention the evaluation. So that part's good, but these paper summaries are missing the core related work, and yeah, citations to the papers themselves. So they repeated this error over and over again. These paper summaries could be shortened, by the way. Oh no, that's paper 1, paper 2. No, that's fine. The length is fine. So they've repeatedly made systematically the same error over and over again. The image is quite good. This is a great image, by the way. I really like this. There's a missing citation here, so this is not their own image. They're gonna lose points by not providing a reference. Technically, this is plagiarism, right? If you just take an image and you don't say where you got it from. So definitely avoid plagiarism. Then they have their references. The references look quite good. They look complete. But I would expect more references than 10 because we should see the core related work. Anyways, I hope that helps. I hope that's going to help everybody improve their coursework 3 submissions. Please let me know if you have questions. Put them in the chat of the Research Methods Teams chat. Put your questions in there. Good luck with your assignments.